One of the things that really stood out to me when I first got around the Vineyard movement was our posture to serve our city. And that really, from the beginning of me getting around the Vineyard movement and getting around Lagan Valley Vineyard, that was something that we talked about a whole lot. So the reason we decided to start doing Youth Alphas, and also I guess some of the thinking around Youth Alphas, was I felt a really strong conviction and almost a temptation to just try to resort back to how things were before COVID-19. And I really had a sense that God wanted to do something new, and that new is new. It's not an old thing redone, it's a new thing. So I began to think about what Youth Alpha could look like. I also had a really strong conviction that we couldn't just invite young people to come and sit at our tables. I couldn't just invite young people to our youth ministry or to church on a Sunday or to whatever it was, that I had to go and sit at the table of young people. We started with one class. That one class grew to about 5 in that school. And then another school in our city heard about what we were doing and invited us in. And so the same thing happened. We had another trial. We very quickly were invited back into the other classes. And by the end of it, we had 190 students sit through Youth Alpha, which for me was not what I expected when we stepped into our first classroom as a trial. We never had a strategy for this. So it was really saying yes to Jesus, stepping in, and to continue to say yes to it and to go from there. And one of the ideas we had around a next point of contact for them, or like a follow-up for them if they wanted to continue to ask questions, is that we asked our church if they could sponsor a few young people to come to camp with us. We had 20 young people in total say yes to coming with us to camp. And so we went down to Dublin for a camp. 19 of the 20 of those young people came to faith. The other one I'm still in contact with. I still chat, he still has questions, and we're still chatting through it. Off the back of our first year of running Alpha, I was really aware that this works, and that this is something that we should prioritize. And so I was really open to wherever God could take this. Other schools were beginning to ask us to come in, and we were beginning to become inundated with invites to the point where we actually had to say, not quite no, but certainly not yet. This September, we added another school. We said yes to another school, the third high school in our city, which means that all 3 high schools have Alpha as part of their Year 12 curriculum. We come in and run it. We have done somewhere in the region, we think, of around 500 to 600 students that have sat through our Alpha courses in school class time, which has been incredible. You know, we've had a young person come in October time there just passed off the back of our prayer session, and I ask a question every time you go into Youth Alpha every week, saying, have you any questions from last week? Which is a little bit of a sneaky question, because I know if they have a question, that young person's been thinking about it the whole week. So, and one of the teenagers asked me, he said, Chris, as we were ending the last class, you mentioned that God was a good communicator, he wanted to speak to us. And he asked me, how do I hear the voice of God? And so we actually scrapped Alpha that week, and we did a workshop around how do you personally hear the voice of God. It led to us praying for the teacher in the classroom who was in the back, who was sitting there. And I just think that's beautiful, because obviously like the story of 19 young people coming to faith is like the dramatic story, it's the big story. But what I love about Alpha is that like the dynamic stories around it that maybe go missed. Like we're chatting in a classroom on a Monday at 11 o'clock about how to hear the voice of God, and a few meters behind a brick wall a class is doing English or algebra. When we started our first class, my dream and what I was praying about and talking to Jesus about was a civic-wide model, and I kind of give myself the space of like 5 years to try to get there. And truthfully, inside 2 years, like we're already in every high school. And so my dream around this, I came to faith at 17, and I wish I had someone who sat in a classroom with me when I was 16 or 15 and was able to have these conversations with me. And so for me, my dream and expectation, and what I feel like we're contending for, is that there's not a single 15 or 16-year-old in our city that leaves school that hasn't sat through at least 5 one-hour sessions of Alpha, where we are able to open the conversation around life, who Jesus is, and why that's important for them and important for their future. So, and I think this is the Jesus way, is that we need to ask the questions, how do we serve our schools? And I don't think the question is, how do we run all these alphas necessarily to start with. That can be a dream, but I think how do we serve our schools and our teenagers and our young people